Okay, so welcome to Kundalini 109. And this is the perfect number because we've kind of reached a completion point on this section of stuff where this is probably the most anticipated video is the signs of a Kundalini rising or process. And it will probably be the most boring because I'm going to present some images of some lists, and then I'm just going to read from Joan Harrigan's book some additional additional symptoms that fortify the list that I'm going to show on the screen. And what do I want to say about Kundalini? And the first thing I want to say, everything listed and everything that is in her book, and you certainly, I totally recommend, please go get her book. But if you can't, this is why I'm sharing pages from her book and going to be reading from her book, because what if you don't have access to her book? I'm sharing it. Everything that is mentioned in all of these lists absolutely have a non-Kundalini related correlation. So we could have mental issues or psychological, emotional, and physical issues that can all mimic, sorry, screen just got dark, can mimic all of these things, including, taking substances that give you these effects, but you could still not have a Kundalini rising, right? Okay. What else did I want to say? I want to say that, Kundalini is you. And what's happening in a Kundalini rising is that she's moving out of her first floor apartment, meaning the base chakra, into higher levels of being. So you can kind of see right there. So, the ordinary, I shouldn't say in the average person without a Kundalini process, she is seeing life and working life from the base chakra. And yes, it's all about survival and stuff, but perfectly wonderful, loving, caring, generous, religious people and non-religious people, beautiful people, very saintly, beautiful souls are functioning, are seeing life from the first floor apartment. There's nothing wrong with that. Or yeah, what am I trying to say? And but then when something shifts, I'm just saying that the signs on these lists are indicative of a higher sense of living and being, and everything starts to point to no longer worrying or being interested in fear, survival, and just the collective way of living. Now you're like amping up. Where, depending on where the rising's base camp is, she may rise to the heart, and then now all your focus is on, a particular longing, weeping, loving feelings. But anyway, it's just a higher floor of living, a higher perspective of living that keeps turning you inwards. So those are really the great indicators of a Kundalini influencing your life, particularly the longing, and the deep longing for God really comes in deeper into the process. But if her base camp is the heart, then you just get this deep longing for God to awaken, right? And so those are really good indicators. So let me just get on with the show and show you. I'll share a screen and I'll leave it up there. You can take some screenshots. I will not be reading this list. Let's see, share that. And these are a couple of lists. I hope that you can see that. Signs of Kundalini process. Yes, a deep yearning for something unknown, special intuitive abilities. Suddenly, you're getting glimpses, insights, sensitivities. You've now suddenly you have healing abilities. This is when, but this can also, you can also receive psychic abilities and healing abilities without actually having a Kundalini rising. This can all happen in a Kundalini arousal when she's sprung out of the base chakra for a quick time and she hits one of your brain centers and then falls back down into the base chakra. She hasn't moved apartments yet, but you can still develop these abilities. But the lists that I'm providing here, the signs of Kundalini process and or rising, are about an actual rising where Kundalini has left the base chakra. Not that she's not ever going to work on those areas again, and not that you no longer have to worry about the base chakra. It's just that she's not living there, you're not living there anymore, and you don't view life from that perspective. Okay. By now you could have taken a screenshot, so I'm going to move to the next image. It gets a little deeper. Feelings of energy flowing and vibrating within. I will talk about this because this is an example of, once again, you can have this experience and still not have any kind of Kundalini activity. So the energy, the vibrations and energy feelings that you're feeling, and they can be quite intense, are actually the pranic vayus, the movement of the pranic vayus, or the prana around your body. And they can, I mean, they're intense. Now, in a Kundalini rising, absolutely, Kundalini utilizes the vayus to begin clearing out things, and she is the cause behind those movements. But you can also, for example, start taking yoga, start doing meditation, start doing breath work, and activate the movements of the vayus within themselves, and you feel the pressure, like this movement of pressure around your body. The vayus for me are very easy to feel. I don't believe that you need to have a Kundalini rising in order to feel the vayus, but I could be wrong. I think when they are talking about, if you can feel the subtler bodies, more subtle, but they could, I guess the pranic bodies are subtle bodies, but I think people, even without Kundalini process, can absolutely feel the movements of the pranic bodies. So that's just an example of, yeah, you can feel some energy moving, flowing, moving up your spine and still not have a Kundalini process. Okay, psychological, yeah, deep yearning for inner development, heightened inner awareness, good intuition, introspective, seeking respite, feeling frustrated about odd physical difficulties. Yeah, you can have all of these kind of mysterious illnesses. Ding, ding, ding. That was one of the things that started me off. Was like, why am I feeling like this? It started me on the journey of, oh, let's investigate this. Is it the mercury in my teeth? Blah, blah, blah. Couldn't figure out anything. Not knowing that it was a Kundalini process, but still you can have mystery illnesses like fibromyalgia, although I guess it's not a mystery anymore, that have all these symptoms, and you yearn for something better. You anyway, these two can mimic a Kundalini process. Okay, I think I'll stop share. You've taken a picture by now. Okay, and maybe I'll just read a little bit from, or just say a few things. I did make some notes. So some of the behavioral things that can change: increased focus on obviously spiritual stuff, setting, study, people can have the ability to easily, like, you get into this stuff and you're like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I already knew that. What was it? And then you can share it with others very easily. So you're like, you can absorb things or remember things very quickly when you hear them. increased enjoyment and recognition of beauty, nature, seeing the good or the God in things, or wanting to, seeking a simpler life, more balanced, wanting to eat better, more self-care, desire for more uplifting type of activities, you know, whether it's dancing, walking, or your own creative expression, and a deep longing for purposeful work. I mean, I think the whole world's kind of experiencing that. Not wanting to be around negative people, negative situations. There's just like now an aversion to it. You're like, oh, yeah, sleep, eating, and sexual desires begin to shift. Losing interest in previously enjoyed worldly activities. And some of the phenomenon, which I know you all are familiar with, automatic arm and hand gestures known as kriyas. And kriyas are, I think the word kriya stands for completed action or trying to complete an action. And so when you get a kriya, I can't see myself on the camera right now, but it is, think of it as unfinished business and the body's trying to release something, like getting twisty. I would get twisty in my head. The big one of clearing something is head going way back. My God, when I first, and most of my Kundalini symptoms were way before I even knew what was going on. I mean, I had an idea like, oh, this must be Kundalini, but way before this deep, any of understanding Joan Harrigan's work and the depth of what was going on. But that neck thing, or the head rolling back and unable literally to bring it forward, it was so tight, it's kind of scared the shit out of me. And then guttural sounds coming out, so you can have lots of vocal expressions. Yeah, so it can be kind of scary at times. Bending over, doing yoga poses, just kind of stretching arms and legs, stretching out. Let's see. You can have sudden deep automatic breathing sensation or retentions of breath, or suddenly doing types of pranayamas. That's retention of breath. In meditation, you can feel like that tingling, what feels like sexual energy, and then suddenly you feel the urge to tighten the anus, the belly, and the throat. You're tightening these 3 specific locks. What that does, it's not necessary, but anyway, you feel that. You kind of feel the contraction in your anus, and that's, I think, what people are feeling as sexual energy. Oh yeah, you can begin reciting mantras, prayers, poems, you know, an interest in poetry. You can have fun. And this is me. The spontaneous hand clapping. I'm a hand clapper. Like when I hear something good, I do this. People in Zooms, everyone's doing the namaste, and I'm over there clapping. That's my thing. Outstretching of arms and legs, suddenly running and jumping or weeping. Oh my God, I'd be driving my car and suddenly be weeping for no reason, or laughing. You can have head and facial movements. This is when really Kundalini's like doing her stuff on you. Yeah, I would have big yawning, like your face stretched out, the tongue would be rolling back, eyes will roll back. You can have jerks, spasms, shouts, animal noises. And I remember, so this urge inside of me to be like a rooster. I was remembering, I guess, remembering past lives, spontaneous remembering of past lives. So, and then you can have insomnia, or the need for more sleep, less sleep, and it's all different. Sometimes you don't want to sleep, and then the next, you're going through a transition or an upgrade, and all you want to do is sleep. Early morning awakenings, that's currently happening for me. Okay, I will close out my notes. And I know this is incredibly boring, but let's just move on with some of the things that she says in her book. There's an inner existential restlessness or despair. So you can really have some deep inner, feels like depression, but it's despair, it's longing, because you're like, oh, I'm living in a different place, but this world does not fit me anymore. Feeling separated, empty, or hollow. Have elevated sensitivities, special capabilities, and intelligences. Feeling confused about these non-ordinary experiences. Being very particular about one's environment, food, and company. We already talked about that. A higher incidences of special dreams, synchronicities, and knowings. Now I know synchronicities happen to us all the time, but these synchronicities, I think that she's referring to, have a bit more meaning, not just like, oh, I was just thinking about chocolate ice cream and then I saw a sign about chocolate. The synchronicities have like deep confirmation messages, or I was just doing something, I was just having the experience of all one, and then I just read the book about it. Anyway, what else did I want to say? Special dreams. Oh, dreams about your house, your old house, houses that you grew up in, will be common themes when Kundalini is rising, right? Because you are the house, your house being refurbished, refinished, being burnt down. All dreams of snakes, dragons, serpents. Yeah. And having visitations, particularly by the Lady of Light. Not all people. I had a visitation with the Lady of Light who, yeah, anyway, talk about that another time. Let's see, an interest in helping others. Now you're feeling like, yes, I need to be of service, and deep compassion for the suffering. Even the people that commit heinous crimes, you actually begin to feel compassion for them. You have understanding. Being more introspective, seeking respite, answers, guidance, and meaning to life. Okay, partial kind of physical, increased practices. Let me see. I'm sorry. I should have been more prepared. Let's see. Spontaneous movement. We already talked about that. Let me see. Oh, right. In inner sensory experiences, of course, you're going to hear sounds like the om, tones, any kind of tones. Maybe you begin humming or tuning or toning into something spontaneously. You absolutely, one of the most common, probably everyone will see this. And let me back up and say, you could have a Kundalini rising and not have any of these, except for, I suspect, a deeper yearning because you've moved apartments. You're no longer into the regular world. And so you could have none of these except for that one longing for something better. I really feel that has to be part of it, because when Kundalini is out of the root chakra, you're seeing life from a different perspective. And so now you're seeking different meaning, a simpler lifestyle or something, or questioning your reality. I think that has to be the one thing that's on everybody's list. But one of the other things is if you begin a meditation program, which you probably will, this has to be part of your process. That's my opinion. Lights, spontaneous and spectacular lights. The blinding white light for me was, and I you can have, I guess, small, I wouldn't say the small pinprick, but we're talking flashes. And the flashes for me, it happened at least 5 times that were so shocking. It was like, wow, a flash of this most brilliant white light that it created the fear response. I was frozen, and I wasn't terrified, but like my body was terrified, and I was frozen because it was so shocking. Anyway, so inner sensations of light, sound, what else? prophetic dreams, precognition, telepathy, clairvoyance, able to heal or balance disturbed energies in self and others, feeling able to influence another's mind, encounters with non-material entities, the deceased, lower astral beings. Yeah, I attracted a lot of lower astral beings along the way. Just part of my path, part of my past life. Spirit guides, channeling, out-of-body experiences. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know at this point. I think that's enough. Detachment, desire for a different life, spontaneous surfacing of repressed unconscious issues. That's where you go, where the hell did that come from? Suddenly you're going along, you're having a great day, and then suddenly you're like full of rage or anger or depression or grief. It's probably Kundalini. Okay. Fear of being influenced by unknown forces, fear of going crazy, a conviction that one is dying, mood swings, emotional instability, periods of depression, loneliness, anxiety, anger, fear, panic, dread. Ooh, I remember, in the beginning, I went for a walk one day. I know you probably aren't interested in my experiences, but I was overcome by fear and grief, and my knees just buckled, and I didn't even know where it came from. Yeah, so these things can happen. Yeah, dread or guilt, psychological symptoms are more intensely experienced. Anyway, so that should be quite an exhaustive list. Signs of a Kundalini rising / process. That means she has left the root chakra. She is fully active now. Okay, these are the signs that Kundalini is actively working in you. And if you have these signs, and perhaps, you can have a Kundalini rising. Yeah, never mind. We'll just we'll just leave it at that because I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I hope that has been helpful. Until next time, until the next series of Kundalini videos. Okay, bye.